Hello.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. So
Welcome back.
we have decided what we want to call our subscribers. We decided to call y'all boys and girls. So no, BB boys and girls. So welcome back, BB boys and girls.
Welcome back.
Today is a very special
Welcome
day
back.
for the film stud girl community.
Yes.
It really
it's my
is.
birthday.
Yeah,
The
as
coming
you
of
can see on
age.
our screen.
Of one of our own.
Yeah,
How old are you,
welcome.
Angelique?
Yeah. How
I'm
old are
20.
you? How are you?
Well, I'm 20. I feel older, but I wanted to tell a funny story. So my mom has an obsession with cards. These are all the cards she's given me today.
Oh.
So she was like,
That's
okay, I need to
cute.
give you a card, and she gave me one, and then I just see like a whole 10 other cards next to her. I'm like, are you okay? And it's like a lot of them are from my dog, but this one's my favorite.
Oh my god, that's so
Does
cute.
it, oh my. Wait, cute.
I love
my
that.
God.
That's so sweet.
And then
love
she makes
that.
it from the dogs. So she's like, oh, like love Zuko. Like she gave me this.
Oh, we do that too in my
one,
family.
too.
We write letters from the dogs.
Yes. No.
Yeah,
Mom-
same. There's
queen
always
of
like
that.
the holiday gifts from the dogs
Yeah.
and the cats.
Oh my god.
The bark side.
From
That's
the
a whole
bark side.
production.
I know. She was like,
Bark.
because my mom has an obsession with birthday cards. So yeah, my favorite
Aw.
thing, and that's how my day's been going so far. A lot
That's
of
so
calls, a
sweet.
lot of
That's cute.
text messages. I have my phone on do not disturb, so it doesn't distract us from our very special episode today.
Yes,
So,
of course.
So does anyone want to introduce the topic?
Today we're going to be talking about soundtracks.
Yay!
And each of us chose 2 movies that we really want to talk about in terms of their soundtracks. And because we've talked before about scores on our radio show last semester, but we've never talked about soundtracks. And they're very crucial in a lot of movies, and we're going to talk all about that. We're very excited. We picked a lot of really good ones, a lot of gems. And as you all can see, Angelique is sharing her screen because we made a little presentation, basically just having a bunch of like YouTube clips and stuff like that, so you guys can actually see what we're talking about and see some references, because it is pretty visual, and you want to hear what we're talking about and actually see what we mean.
Yeah.
And we want to try out this new format.
While each person is presenting, I have a little question of the day for all of us. And the question I thought of just on the spot right now, because to be honest, I forgot to look it up, is what's your favorite color? Yay! And
oh my god, it's so inspirational.
And why is it your favorite color?
Okay, should we answer it right now?
Hard-hitting question.
No, like when you present your first movie, say like, hi, my name is whatever your name is, even though our names are in this corner right here, but you have to say your name. So just in case it's like a different pronunciation, like people understand. Like I don't know how to pronounce Isabella's name. It's just Isabella Carral, like all together.
So yeah, it's one word actually. My first and my last name, it's combined. Yeah. Wow. We're gonna be fancy here. It's Caron. Yeah. Okay. It's like if we were in France, it would be all, fancy in the French pronunciation, but we're just gonna say it the basic American way. What was that?
Wait, it's French?
Yeah.
Oh my god, my name is French.
Oh my, you know what I mean? Like that's so bad.
We all have French.
But yeah, it is French.
Wait.
Then say your French name too while you're presenting.
Yes.
Okay, so shall we begin?
What does it mean in French? Does it mean anything? Or is it just a French name?
I don't know. I think it's just a French name.
Fun.
Yeah.
Wait,
now I have to do some family research and see if what it means.
I'm gonna go on my French translator app.
Yeah, and be like, what does it mean?
Does anything? No, it doesn't say anything.
Yeah, I don't I think it's just a
it's a French name.
It's just a last name.
Wait, fun.
Leslie Caron, the famous actress. Also, I don't know. I think I'm related to her, but
if you add an A to the end, it's like
no. Nope. We don't have time for her on this show.
True. Okay, so shall we begin?
Okay, let's begin.
Enough talking about my name.
Self-conceited. It's my day. So we get to talk about Okay.
We can only talk about Angelique.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, shall we begin?
All right.
Yes, we shall.
Oh, I'm going first,
and
right?
movies.
Yes.
Yeah, who's going?
First one.
Ooh. Okay.
Exciting.
Hey, my name is Hunter.
Wait, I forgot.
My middle name is French. My middle name is French. I pronounce it rain, but in French it's reine. It means queen in French, which like I don't really like saying because that's kind of like.
Hunter
but yeah,
Queen.
that's my French name.
Hunter Queen. Hunter.
Yeah, you know. My favorite color. Huh.
And why?
When? People say it's not a color, but I think black would be my favorite color. I know.
Joseph this many times. It's a shade, but we'll accept
that's
it.
what my dad says too. But like, okay, then I don't. No, I'm gonna stick.
No.
with it.
No. Yeah, I'm the birthday queen and I allow it.
Yeah, I mean, black is my favorite color because it goes with anything. And I mean, I think I look really good in black clothing. So yeah.
That's what matters. Is how good you look in the color. That's the most important thing.
Exactly. All right.
I
so my first movie.
Yeah. I totally forgot I was in charge of slideshows, so I'm like, why is no one changing the slideshow? It's my
yeah. So my first movie that I'm going to be talking about is actually our movie of the week, also, and it's Donnie Darko.
Yay.
It's my favorite movie, as we stated in the Instagram post, for many reasons, and one of them is how amazing the soundtrack is. Basically, I mean, one of my favorite genres of music is new wave, and the soundtrack is just full of new wave music, and it fits so seamlessly and effortlessly into the themes of the movie. For example, the movie starts out, there's two different cuts of the movie, and they have kind of drastically different soundtracks. So the original cut, and then there's the director's cut, and they make different music choices in each one. So for example, in the original one, it starts off with The Killing Moon by Echo and the Bunnymen, but in the director's cut, it starts off with, what is the song? Never Tear Us Apart by INXS. And those, like, just to start the movie off, it sets two totally different moods, because The Killing Moon is kind of, it's eerie and it's all like mysterious, whereas Never Tear Us Apart is more of a love song, and it's kind of, I mean, it's not uplifting per se, but it's not as eerie and mysterious as The Killing Moon, so it definitely sets a lot of different tones. Some facts about the soundtrack is that Michael Andrews did the soundtrack, and while most of the movie has an instrumental score, then these new wave songs are kind of filtered in key moments. So like in the very first scene, the first song is new wave, and then in key moments, like the clip that I'm going to show, there is Head Over Heels by Tears for Fears, and there's a party scene, which is kind of the climax of the film, and Joy Division plays, and it's like all of these iconic new wave songs are in this movie, and it just really sets the tone. So yeah, we can watch the clip, and then I'll talk about it after.
DJ here up in the house. I wish I was like that.
Okay, so basically,
great opening.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, just because of how well the song fits in. And basically, that's toward the beginning of the film, and it does such a good job of introducing the whole school setting and all of the different characters in this movie without any dialogue, like without anything, and you can tell exactly who everyone is pretty much by just what they do. And with this like classic new wave song in the background, just kind of setting the tone for everything. And I just think that that is a really good use of a song in a soundtrack, and just the way that everything is timed is so good. Just amazing. And
chef kiss.
Yeah, for real. And then let me see. Oh yeah, another thing, when I was doing research for this, another thing I thought was really interesting was that, so Donnie Darko came out in 2001. It's based in the 80s, which is why all of the music is from the 80s. And when it first came out, it did not do well, like at all. But then a few years later, it had this huge fandom in the UK. And there's an interview with Richard Kelly, the director, and he talks about how he thinks that the soundtrack is why there's such a big fan base in the UK, because it's all of these, it's all of these British new wave bands. So everyone like connected with it a lot. And I thought that that was really interesting. And it kind of just shows another way, like another layer to how important soundtracks are. It also connects the audience with what you're showing, as well as connecting the characters with it. So yeah.
Yay! Wow. Well, like I remember when I first watched Donnie Darko, I didn't like it.
Oh wait, really?
No, I didn't like it.
I didn't know that.
Oh.
I remember I watched it on Netflix, and I was like, oh, like I don't. And then I remember my anatomy teacher's like, when I got accepted into film school, he's like, my favorite film is Donnie Darko. You have to watch it. I'm like, okay. But then I actually wrote a paper on it, and I rewatched it. Oh yeah, so with the hashtag we put Donnie on the Country was because I was trying to say, it was our final paper, so we were on crunch time, and I remember we were all checking each other's paper, and I tried writing Donnie on the contrary, and I accidentally put Donnie on the Country. So
we just thought that was so
because we were all delirious. This was during finals week, and I remember I was like peer reviewing her paper, and I read Donnie on the Country. I thought that was like the funniest thing I've ever read in my whole life.
Yeah, we spent like 10 minutes laughing about
it. And this was like
going insane.
Literally an hour before our paper was due. We were like, and we just like, let's take a moment.
Time.
Yes, yes. Maybe one day I'll share my paper. We'll share our papers with the world.
Our final papers.
Published?
Yikes.
That's good.
Published? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I watched Donnie Darko when I was a freshman in college, like in my dorm room on my bed, I remember specifically. And then I just like really, I remember like how it all ties together at the end. I was like, whoa, like I didn't even like picture, like I don't know, I just like didn't put it together. And then when it happened, like I thought it was so like well executed, and I was like, it comes full circle. And like I've like, I'm like you, where I'm like, I've been familiar with like these bands and stuff, and I've like, you know, kind of grown up to like listening to them because like my parents really like them a lot. So I thought it was like a really good use of like songs that I've never heard be in a movie before.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like a really cool use of like that genre with like the genre of music with like that genre of film, which is really cool.
Yeah, and kind of like one last thing, because you talked about the ending, and that's like kind of what it's known for, is their cover of Mad World at the end. And kind of how like it makes, like I was watching that clip before and I was gonna include it, but I was watching it and it made me so sad, and I was like, I don't want to include it, because it shows everyone in the reality, like not really spoiler alert, but it kind of takes you out of this sort of like fantasy world that the whole movie has been in, and it shows everyone at their reality, which is really upsetting. And just this slow melodic cover of Mad World plays over, and it's really like upsetting.
Yeah. Another thing, this is really random, but I think the house Donnie lives in is in Long Beach, I want to say.
Wait, really?
Oh my god.
I think so. I want to say, because I know Ferris Bueller's house is in Long Beach too.
So,
Oh
my god,
we have to go.
film said girl vlog to the two famous houses.
To the Donnie Darko house.
Oh, yes. So with that, we'll continue with our next film. Hi, my name is Angelique Acuna. That's my French pronunciation of my name. My favorite color is yellow because I think it looks good on me. And I just like the color, I guess. I have a lot of shoes in the color yellow. That's my quirky quality, I guess.
Like you like yellow.
You're quirky because you like yellow.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I have sunflowers in my room because they're yellow. So my first movie I'm going to talk about is Baby Driver. And one thing I will never let down is that I got into dogs because of Baby Driver, because I wrote about it for my my creative supplement.
Oh yeah.
So I know a lot. I did a lot of research on this movie. Not a lot of research, but I did a lot of analyzation on this movie. So Baby Driver is directed by Edgar Wright, and it's about this guy named Baby. I know. And I forgot what type of a disease he has, but basically he has a disease where like he can always hear a buzzing in his ear, like ever since he got into this really bad accident with his family. So basically to drown out his like buzzing in his ear, he listens to music the whole time. And so basically like a lot of like the whole soundtrack is made up of like other songs. No original music is included in the movie. So basically Edgar Wright, he composed the soundtrack, not composed, but like chose the soundtrack for the movie before he would wrote the movie. So that shows you how important like music in this movie is. And it's to the point where like the editing and the sound and everything just goes in. Because I remember with my paper we had to write about sound editing and like cinematography. I think those are the three things we had to talk about. So I talked about how those three things combine, because there's a lot of times where the music and editing go along hand in hand. Like when it's a really intense scene, the cuts are very like short, and then when it's a more smooth scene, it's like very much one shot. And I have a few examples. So we're starting with the opening scene. I'll only show a little bit because like I have like a few clips I want to show. So we'll start with clip number 1. That's clip number 1. So as you see, like the music's very upbeat. It's bell bottoms. I forgot who it's by, but also it's a little harder for me to listen because I can't hear any of the audio. So I'm just going on it based on like what I'm seeing. So if I remember correctly, the song is very fast paced. So the editing is very like fast paced. The editing and sound go hand in hand. This is the last clip. This is a very quick clip I wanted to show, just to show like the importance of the music to Baby, like the character himself, and how important it is to the director, like Edgar Wright too. So I wanted to show that like it's so important to this movie that like literally he's like, hey guys, you can't go yet. I have to start the song all over. So I know there's some people, there's like me, literally like I'll be in the car and then like my mom will like go on a call and I have to turn it down and then I have to start it all over again because I'm like the same impact. And then I wanted to show, like I analyzed this clip in my my film paper. So I wanted to show like literally Baby's in his own world. So like he kind of like he's singing his own thing. He's like, yeah, like this is me. He's just chilling out and like he's like away from the violence. It's like I talked about the cinematography and how like he literally gets himself out of the frame. So he's like, no, I don't associate myself with this type of like violence. Let me get out of it. So because he's like constantly in the movie, he's a getaway driver, but like he doesn't want to be a getaway driver. It's just something he does to make money. So yeah, like literally this movie is so life-changing to me. Like I said, I felt really cool because like I said, I wrote about it to get into film school. So I was like, me, like,
Dang.
and I had it on DVD and I have it on Blu-ray because my cousin's a really big fan of like he's my cousin who introduced me to like Scott Pilgrim and stuff. Like he was like, oh, like, I love Baby Driver too. So for my birthday, he got me like my birthday, or like, I think I actually got this movie on like a White Elephant thing. Like he like always brings a Blu-ray movie to White Elephant, so I think I got it, and I was like, oh, like it was meant to be.
That's a good gift.
Yeah,
that's a good gift.
And that's what I will conclude my discussion of Baby Driver. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
That's so interesting.
Thank you. Anything you guys want to include?
A lot of details. I mean, I just remember like watching this movie for the first time, and like it, like even if like the story like may not be like your thing, I feel like the way that it's like choreographed and like the music and everything, like you can't not enjoy it. Like you kind of like, even when we were watching like the opening, we were kind of like dancing along, and like just the pacing of it is so like well thought out that like you have to appreciate it and like get into it. And like even when you were showing like the words on the wall and the heart changing colors, like I like didn't notice that the first time. So then it's like, wow, like what else did they do throughout this movie to like add to the detail?
There's a lot. Another random thing I want to include is like I love this movie so much that for my senior year when I was in choir, I sang Easy because it was by the Commodores, because it's in a scene from this movie, and I sang it because I was like, oh, the Baby Driver. So so yeah, it's like it very much shows how Baby feels in this movie. It's very centered on how he feels. So it's because in movies it's supposed to set the tone of like, this is how all the characters feel, but in this one it's very much like, no, this is only how Baby feels, like always like centered on him. So next we have,
all right, well, I guess I'll introduce myself first. I'm Isabella Caron, little French girl. I would say my favorite color is purple, because I like lavender, like light purples, like those are my favorite, like my favorite color. I just think like it's just like really pretty and like calming, and I think like purple represents royalty, no, it does though, but like I don't know, and I like wearing purple a lot too, because I feel like I tend to wear like gray a lot of the time, so make it a little bit more brighter, and then there's purple, so that's close enough. So yeah,
good point.
So okay, we're shifting a little bit in genres of movies. This movie, The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, is like the essence of my middle school self. This movie,
yes,
I think it was all like all of our favorite movie. Like it's so well done.
I read the books, all of them.
Oh yeah, I read the book like so fast too. I like zoomed through it.
I think we all agree that like Catching Fire is the superior Hunger Games movie.
It's the
Oh yeah.
If you think otherwise, then we need to have a debate, because I don't understand. Everything about it, like the coloring and like I just thought like the story is like just like one of the stronger ones, and
the whole Hunger Games series is dark, but like this one's like
a lot of like
darker turn.
It gets
a lot of like newer characters are added, like some dark stuff goes down. But I wanted to talk about this movie because I think, so I'm sure most of you have seen it, and that they don't use actual songs in the movie. It's all score, like it's really beautiful score, but they also have like an accompanied like soundtrack inspired by the motion picture. So I wanted to talk about like that type of music and that like influences the film. And this is just like a screenshot of like the album. So if you look at like all of the bands, I mean, you have everything from Coldplay to The Weeknd to Lorde, even like Patti Smith has a song on there. So it's a huge variety of like genres, which like capture kind of like the essence of like what the film is about. Some of them are like slower, and then some of them are like super fast paced. So the speed of them varies a lot. And I think it's really interesting because for a movie that's obviously targeted towards like tween and teen girls, like it's a blockbuster. It was like, I think it was like the highest grossing film of 2013 when it came out. As it should be.
Well deserved it.
Well deserved. Like, it's so good. So it's really, I think the only song that's actually used is like in the credits, and it's the Coldplay song Atlas that plays like when the credits start. And then, which is really interesting because it's like the first kind of like lyrical song that you hear like throughout the film. So I think it's just like a really interesting approach when you have songs that are like that are inspired by the movie that aren't directly using it, because I think that is just like equally as effective if you want how like song and, you know, like sound and image can like go together. And it was really interesting when, because you were talking about Donnie Darko, and there's actually like a lot of like kind of like parallels between the movie too. Obviously, like Everybody Wants to Rule the World is like a song that was originally sung by Tears for Fears, and then Lorde did like a cover of it. So it's like a lot slower, and you know, Lorde's
I remember that was like
voice
a big deal.
is very different. Yeah, Lorde became like you know, because she did the song for the Mockingjay Part 1 also. So she kind of was like she was the singer for the franchise.
And then there's the only song I remember is Taylor Swift's song Safe and Sound.
Yeah, from the first
was that
movie.
From the first one? Yeah,
that was from the first. She sang it with the Civil Wars. Again, very different vibes from like all the songs that are on this album, but it still kind of like captures like the essence of the movie, and I think it just like only adds to it. So I like, obviously, you know, when you have like the sound is like working in the movies like Donnie Darko and Baby Driver, but I think it's like an interesting contrast when they're not in the movie, but they're still like when the album is like published and everything. So
it's kind of like when someone's like, oh, here's a playlist that like I made, then like I was inspired by a movie I watched type of thing.
True.
Like, kind of like this week's up is like, okay, like everyone's gonna write a song based on this movie type of thing, and like
exactly.
And it's also like it's a good marketing tool, definitely. I feel like
more money for everyone.
And like the singers get to make their own songs for it, and it's like, oh, that's my favorite artist, and they're doing a song for like this movie, like then you want to go see the movie, and like it all like just intertwines like that.
Or like, I don't know, maybe like if I ever do reread the books, maybe I'll listen to the soundtrack while I'm reading the books.
That's really smart, actually.
That's a good idea.
Well, the prequel book is coming out, so you know, gotta get back into the
gotta put my side braid out.
Yeah, put the side braid in, get your bow and arrow, your hunting jacket. You're going back to
go into the wilderness.
I had a shirt
I
with
already
Katniss on
pre-ordered
it.
the book.
Oh gosh, birthday present? Anyone want to pre-order? Our fans out there, send it to my P.O. box.
Our loyal subscribers, the P.O. box.
So here's my side braid.
Cute.
My family says touching my hair fast. Too much.
Yeah, I know. How did you do that so quickly?
Because I was always prepared for this.
Prepared for when you have to turn into Katniss at any time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to.
Always.
The feminist icon that she is.
I know. Better than Hawkeye, dare I say.
Yeah, obviously.
It's okay. So are we ready to move on to the second set of movies, or is any final word?
If you haven't seen Catching Fire, go watch it and then listen to the soundtrack.
Maybe also like if we ever do make a commentary channel, we are going to watch all the Hunger Games movies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We should.
I will rip Mockingjay to shreds.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I know.
But
I did not like that movie.
Both of them, or
I think that's the last one. I was like
part 2.
Didn't like. Yeah. I just remember like not being impressed. I was just like, eh.
I didn't see it in theaters.
So. The book is like flawed. The book is flawed already, so it's like you know that's not going to translate well to like a movie. So I felt like they did the best that they can with what they were given, but it was kind of doomed to like be.
Well,
agreed.
Shall we continue to our last set of movies?
Yes. Sorry, we're getting
sorry.
We're getting heated over here.
I know. Yeah. We are.
So our next movie is
it's me again. Hey, I'm back.
Yay!
Such a good choice.
Round 2.
So yeah, we're here for round 2, our final round. So the next movie I wanted to talk about was Juno, and I actually watched this movie on the plane. I don't remember if it was. I think it was coming back from France. I think so. And I just, because I'd always heard like, oh my God, Juno's so good, and then I saw it and I was like, okay, like I'm not doing anything else, I guess I'll watch it. And I kind of had mixed feelings about it, because at first part of me thinks it was kind of trying really hard to be quirky and like, like that kind of like indie, like, oh, we're so like
that's
quirky,
fair.
haha. But at the same time, like I thought it was really charming, and I liked the story a lot. And then and I mean the soundtrack in this movie is a really important part for the plot and also just for the whole atmosphere. So yeah, I'll go into some little facts about it. Basically, the whole soundtrack is kind of indie rock themed, and again, that kind of goes with the quirky like aesthetic of it all. And it's actually from Ellen Page, who plays Juno. She suggested like all of these different artists that she thought her character would listen to. Yeah, because I think originally they were going to have her be kind of more, not like, I don't think goth is the right word, but more kind of like into rock and like all the stuff, which she is. But then she was like, oh, I feel like she would kind of listen to more indie bands, and the two main ones are called Fancy Pants and the Moldy Peaches. And so she suggested them, and the director was like, hell yeah, like let's do it. And then that kind of makes the whole tone of the movie, I felt like personally when I was watching it. And then another thing, if you've seen the movie, you know that basically what it's about is a teen pregnancy, and she finds these parents who want to adopt her kid, and she develops this relationship with them, and kind of gets kind of rocky, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but yeah. And
I haven't seen it, so.
Oh, true.
You should watch it.
And then we'll discuss.
Yes.
I feel like you would like it. But
I am a quirky person, so.
I mean, there's a lot of
you
yellow
like yellow, so you'd like it.
Yeah, I mean, look at, I know.
He's the best. Like,
I'm always looking out for Pop. Like,
yeah, he is. Hot takes. He is
iconic. Yeah.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the one of the big plot points of the film is Juno's relationship with the adoptive dad, and that is it kind of all starts based off their taste in music, and they kind of bond over that. So that's another aspect of the soundtrack and just the music in general in the film, which is super important. And then the scene that I wanted to talk about is the last scene, which I saw on the plane, and I was like crying. It was so cute. And then the person next to me definitely thought I was weird, but okay. But yeah, we can go ahead and watch it.
I can't hear anything, but it looks cute.
They have it on iTunes. You can get the song. You can listen to the song.
Okay. Thank you.
Basically in that scene, so that's how the movie ends, and try not to spoil I mean, that is kind of a spoiler because it's the end of the movie, but basically they what are their names, Juno and Polly, are singing this song to each other, and it kind of just encapsulates their whole relationship and kind of how like innocent it is, even though like they've gone through all of this crazy stuff that not a lot of people really go through in high school. And I just really like it, and I think that's a really good way to end a movie like this one. And it's zooming out really slowly, and it kind of just, it implies that they're kind of going back to quote unquote normal life
Oh.
after like her pregnancy and the drama and this and that. Yeah, and I think it's really charming, and it's a really good way because I mean that's not an original song. Like, it was a song from the band the Moldy Peaches mentioned earlier, but they were coached on how to sing it, and they kind of just sat and filmed it on the last day of shooting. And yeah, and they were like, yeah, and everyone thought it was really cute. And yeah, I just think it's a really nice way to take another song and make it your own for your movie. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's really cute.
Now I'm like,
yeah.
Is there
it's saved in my Spotify.
Yeah, same. I literally have it in my library. It's a banger.
I get it, guys. I'm not in the circle. I get it.
Angelique.
Yeah, you have to get on the bandwagon. You have to watch it.
It's my birthday, so maybe I should get off the bandwagon. Well, shall we get to the cherry on top, to the chaotic energy of like our show?
Now we're transitioning a little bit.
Hi.
Because we can't. You can't talk about movie soundtracks without talking about this masterpiece. You just can't.
Yeah, exactly.
You really can't.
You can't.
It would be a crime if we.
It would be a disservice. Exactly.
I know. So I'm gonna talk about the Shrek. There's only 2 Shrek movies that matter. The first and second one. So
true.
Basically, both albums or soundtracks were a cultural reset. Literally, like you can go to anyone. Oh, I should have made a better transition. Let me try that again. So somebody once told me. That was good, right? Okay. So basically, cultural reset. You can probably go to anyone on the street and be like, name a song from the Shrek movies, and they would say anything you want. They would be like, yeah, I got you. Somebody once told me the word. So there's not really much to say about this album, just that they were cultural resets. But I wanted to talk about how, like, in the other movies, like, oh, like, movies are supposed to reflect how the characters feel. I feel like these ones are so funny, where they'll literally tell you what the characters are feeling, and it seems too accurate. It's like, I know Hunter saw Love Is Blind, so you know how, like, when someone's feeling sad, they'll sing like, oh, I miss you, like stuff like that. Like in the lyrics, they'll be like, literally, this movie does that too. The first thing I want to show is from the first one. I was gonna show the colossal. Also, like, okay, let me finish my first thought first. I'll begin.
Can't we just settle this over a pint? No.
Oh my gosh. Then. Why is this movie like the best?
Come on!
I can't hear it, so I'm gonna pretend like I know the song.
Freaks and Geeks fans, where are you at?
So this part shows that Shrek doesn't give a damn about his reputation.
True.
I mean, I'm right.
Yeah,
he's living in the past. He's living in the past of a new generation. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, he's got a bad reputation.
Exactly. Yeah. So that gives you the set, and there's another song. There's like the ending song where it's like,
do I look like?
Oh, sorry. Where it's like he's a believer now because he used to not believe in love, but now he's a believer. So basically, the first Shrek is like, yeah, like basically, like it kind of much tells you. And I feel like Smash Mouth is really known for the Shrek songs they did, because I was watching their music videos, and literally like the music videos were like about Shrek type of thing, and like how cool Shrek the movie is type of thing. Yeah, it's so funny. I recommend watching. The Shrek movie, or not the Shrek movies. I do recommend watching those, but the Smash Mouth music videos. So this one, another one, very blunt one. Can you guess what they're trying to talk about here?
Yeah, Shrek's a human.
Loki, he was cute though.
Yeah, Loki.
Oh my god. So basically, it shows that he changes, So basically, that's where the blunt. It's very blunt. That's the one thing I wanted to show from there, which I thought was really fun.
I'm gonna say a hot take. Honestly, Shrek 2 might be better than the first Shrek.
And one fun fact I wanted to talk about was I knew Cameron Diaz came to my elementary school a lot because her nephew came to my school, and I only knew Cameron Diaz by Fiona. So I remember my mom was like, "That's Fiona from Shrek," and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like Fiona said hi to me because I remember I was in line waiting to go to class, and like she was there. I remember like everyone's hugging her, but I was a respectful girl, so I was like, "Hi, Cameron." She's like, and I remember she's like, "Hi." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, she waved at me." That's a fun fact.
Oh my god.
And the last one,
in the presence of an icon,
the cultural reset of the
best musical moment in a movie ever.
Also, we didn't talk about, but me and Shrek 2 and I are sharing a birthday. Shrek 2 was released on May 19th, 2004. So they're turning.
Happy birthday.
They're turning 16.
Sweet 16.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why I didn't see this movie in theaters. If 4-year-old me is gonna get a talking to when time travel's open, I'm gonna be like, you better go see Shrek 2 in theaters. Maybe I did see this movie in theaters. I don't know. Okay.
Oh.
Hit it!
Yeah.
All right, big fella, let's crash this party.
I feel like the references they have in these movies are funny. Like you'll see, I'll skip to the reference.
Big Gingy.
And that's like, it's supposed to be like, that's the Jurassic Park scream, I think.
Oh yeah, true.
And then, oh, the plot twist though, they were so smart. Like Fairy Godmother was like,
yeah.
Oh, like, because like she thinks Shrek, that's what Shrek looks like as a human. So basically, like they think Prince Charming is Shrek as a human, you know. So it's like, whoa, like, whoa, so smart.
He's a Prince Charming, looks like an ogre.
Oh, I love. God, this part, like they put it on him in this part. This part's so funny.
Oh yeah.
Put the hot milk on him.
Yeah, but then listen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hey, let's go!
Like less steam, or like more foam, or like more like increase the temperature of foam.
Oh no, this is so sad.
Oh no. So dramatic, it's so good. And then
the choreography.
I know, and then this is like the instrumental part.
Yeah.
And then the part. And he's like, "Be good." So that's from EP. And he's like, when they're like, and then I want to see my other favorite part.
Go! Your lady needs you. Go!
Isn't that like Princess Bride?
Today, I repay my debt.
Maybe.
I feel like he does that in Princess Bride. He's like, go.
Oh.
I love
Yes.
It's action-packed, romance, drama. Oh, wait, it's finished.
Yes.
Yes.
But I think it's okay because like the animators have to choreograph, like they have to like animate choreography. So like that's like an extra step in how like they use music, but also to like go with animation. Like it's so cool.
the cultural reset when they did Viva La Vida Loca at the very end. Yes. And I remember I had Shrek 2 on DVD. One of the special features was like they had like a American Idol like thing where you can vote.
Yes, I remember that.
And I remember Simon Cowell was there, like randomly animated. And yeah, that's the last thing I have to say.
So good.
I feel like everyone has seen Shrek, but like I say like if you haven't seen Shrek since you were a kid, I would say go back and watch it because there's so much more to it. Like a lot of adult humor, a lot of movie references from like movies you've never seen before. I mean, movies you didn't see before when you were a kid, but now as an adult, you'll probably like, oh my gosh, I never noticed the ET reference until like I watched it again last night. And so yeah, especially the second one. I remember I watched the second one when I was in high school again, and I was like, damn, so good.
Mm-hmm. It was ahead of its time.
Very ahead of its time. It'll be timeless forever. Okay, and we'll continue to our last movie.
All right. So now that we went from one cultural reset, it is time to talk about the cultural reset of all cultural resets.
Cultural reset.
The movie and the music that defined an era, a generation. And it all started with the Twilight original motion picture soundtrack. And that soundtrack, I have literally, ever since the movie came out in 2008, I have grown up listening to that soundtrack all the time. It was so ahead of its time. Even Robert Pattinson, King Robert Pattinson himself,
I love him.
That the soundtrack was like ahead of its time. You know, you can say what you want about the movies, but the music for it is so good. Like, it has I'm trying to think of all the artists. Paramore has a song on there, Linkin Park, Florence and the Machine has a song on like one of the later movies, like all 5 movies too. Twilight was the original, but like all 5 have really great songs. And I think that this
was the blueprint.
Yeah, this really was the blueprint. Like, and I feel like there's no better scene that like encapsulates how the music and the image go together than the scene that I will show. It's long. We don't have to show the whole thing.
Oh my gosh,
we have to show it.
So Hunter has never seen the Twilight movies.
Yes.
This might be her first time watching this iconic scene.
It is, and so, I'm worried.
You better buckle up, Hunter, because
oh my god, I'm so excited. I haven't seen this scene in a hot second. I love
Twilight
it so much.
Know what we're talking about.
The best one. Okay, before we talk about it, let's say what team we were on. And count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Edward. Yes.
I haven't seen it, and I'm on Team Edward.
Yes,
of course.
That's the right answer.
I just have a feeling in my gut.
Okay. Yeah. Are we ready? We'll watch a little bit of it.
Yeah, it's long, so you just have to watch the beginning to really capture the essence.
Hunter's terrified, but
the suspense is really killing me.
It's so good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, everyone.
Here we go.
I want to show this one clip. I think there's one part where like the blonde girl's like, "That's my man," like, and I want to show that clip. Oh my god! I think it's this one.
What's happening? The thing is, Hunter, is they're all foster kids, but they're all dating each other.
And they all live together.
So that's a whole family of vampires, and they're all foster kids, but they're all like they're all dating each other.
Whoa.
Yeah, like there's
wild.
Like 2 couples. I know. And then Edward obviously he's not dating one in the foster family. Yeah, so that's why she says that, because like, yeah, all the vampires are like dating each other. It's like a thing.
My monkey man.
My monkey man.
That's my monkey man. Hold on.
This was such a cultural reset. Like, it's not even funny. Like, it's so good.
Hunter, give us your thoughts.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Hunter, that's your first time seeing it.
I have so many thoughts. First of all, why are they playing like this super intense baseball game? Why do they all have uniforms?
Okay, so basically they can only play baseball because the crack of the bat is so loud that it's so loud that they can only play it during thunderstorms. So
that's why they need like the lightning and the thunder. That's why she like said that.
Oh, okay.
Because they're powerful vampires.
They're monkey men.
They're monkey men.
Yeah, third, that was way too much for me. Fourth,
the movie's filled with that.
So, like, I understand it's supposed to be like, ooh, vampires, but like, why is it blue? Like the whole
the lighting of it
colored blue. Yeah.
Oh, this is the whole movie because it's in Seattle, Washington.
It takes place outside of Seattle, so it rains all the time. It's always cloudy there.
Apparently,
okay.
So I remember one of my old friends told me that like apparently in Forest, Washington, they go hard about this movie because the only thing that like they're like like they think they have like a whole bunch of like not cosplay. What am I saying? Like
convention
merch. They have merch
like
of like all of like a whole bunch of Twilight stuff because like Forest, Washington, like this is the only movie that represents Forest, Washington.
That's so funny. I just like
perfect.
I just have so many thoughts running through my mind.
I know.
Well, save those thoughts.
I was bopping though.
Yeah.
I know.
But the song though is great in it.
Yeah.
Look at that. 11
honestly,
million
the song
views.
Yeah, that's 11 million views.
The song is fire.
63,000 likes.
I'm gonna like it.
Yeah, you should.
But yeah, like,
and they all have like the C's on their hats because they're the Cullens and they're one team, one family.
Alice was my favorite growing up.
There's a lot to unpack there.
There's a lot.
Hunter. It's only the beginning. That's only one part of the movie.
Now I'm really intrigued.
I know. The first one is obviously the best one out of all of them, but you can't deny the impact that it had. I can't believe that. Okay, I'm gonna go off, but like I can't like the impact that it's had because like I've been watching, like the Vampire Diaries, the CW show. Like Vampire Diaries is like a direct result of Twilight. Like I feel like Twilight was like the blueprint for like the modern generation of like vampire texts.
Yeah.
In my broad program we had like I'm in a vampire and film class, and it's so interesting to see like how like it took inspiration from like folklore, but it like really changed the idea of like vampires because like they're supposed to be like monsters and like everyone hates them and then fears them, but it's like now they're like sympathetic and like the love interests and stuff.
They're sexy.
I
mean, not to hate or anything, but
Hunter, I can mute you.
No. But I mean, Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of did the human fall in love with the vampire thing first.
That is true.
That is true. I haven't seen Buffy. So.
Buffy, I think.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, because.
But Twilight,
I think Buffy had
for like this generation.
Yeah, Buffy had like the hunter fall in love with like the vampire, but Twilight had like the regular girl.
Yeah, true.
Falling in love with like the vampire.
How did she meet him? Like how'd she meet all the vampires?
Oh, Hunter, you have to watch.
True.
I
have to watch.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but one thing I wanted to mention was like y'all were watching Twilight. I wasn't a Twilight person when I was a kid. I was the kid that was like, ew, Twilight. But of course I came around to it. But I was really into an anime series called Vampire Knight. That was my thing. Like that one was intense. I don't really want to talk about that one because it kind of gets. I read the manga. It was But it was like I had a crush on one vampire, and I had to like be like, if only this one blonde vampire would come into my life, and like I would cry. Like I was into vampires too as a kid. Always wanted to be a vampire.
I feel like Twilight definitely brought the whole vampire thing out, like for our generation, and the whole like, oh my god, like vampires aren't scary, like they're sexy, which is like it's
totally
interesting, and especially mixed with like all of the artists who did the soundtrack. Like they were so popular too, like for the generation. So it's like, yeah, it was definitely a big like cultural thing. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, like everyone was obsessed. I feel like it's a stretch when people are like, it's the worst movie ever, because it's like, honestly, like it was like culturally impactful. Like I feel like it set it just like changed like the notion of like, you know, vampires and like supernatural creatures and like how we interact with them as like humans. You could write a whole essay on it, honestly.
Yes.
Oh my god, film theory.
Film theory. We're all gonna write about it.
Supernatural creatures.
We all show up in Twilight.
Cultural analysis. I will.
Oh my god. Well, honestly, you could though.
But yeah.
I think that
you could.
Everything here. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think
that the scene just does a really good job capturing.
What song was it in the scene?
It was called Supermassive Black Hole. I think it's the first one. Like if you look at like the soundtrack like on iTunes or Spotify, like it's the first one. I'm forgetting who sings it. I'm such a fake fan, but it's like, yeah.
Wait, so is that the beginning of the first movie?
That's the middle of the first movie.
It's the middle, yeah.
Purely the middle. You don't see the beginning, you don't see the end. Pure chaos.
Purely the middle.
But yeah, well,
it's by me.
Yes.
Well, to conclude our show, if there's anything we can talk on and on about Twilight, but we'll probably make another episode about just on Twilight when we force Hunter to watch. Yes, so we can force Hunter to watch
every
all the
movie.
movies. Yes.
I'm down.
So we're gonna conclude by having. We didn't add a slide about this, but we want to. I can like search it up on the handy dandy Google. Okay, so we're gonna conclude with special mentions of like soundtracks we thought about, but we didn't like conclude just because we didn't have enough time, because this is already like over an hour. So like
let's do a lightning round.
We'll keep it exactly lightning round.
We'll start with Hunter. What's your special mention?
I almost forgot for a second. So during our meeting when we were planning on this, we decided to not talk about musicals because we did a whole thing about musicals, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to say, I have to bring up Mamma Mia, the franchise, because I mean, come on, like, don't even get me started. I could talk about Mamma Mia all day. Mamma Mia is by Twilight.
It used to be my favorite movie for the longest time.
It is your Twilight. It is.
Literally, obviously
another movie we will react to.
The songs.
When we watch both in one day.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the second one, so.
You haven't?
Angelique.
I know.
Some people say that the second one's better than the first one. I don't know if I agree with that. But like,
honestly, I don't know if I agree either, but I could definitely see why they say that.
Yeah, I could see why too. It has like good parts of it for sure.
Yeah. Basically though, like obviously it's a movie musical and it uses all ABBA songs, but I mean, it just the vibes are so good. And even the sad songs, you're like bopping too, you know? And yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched Mamma Mia, please do. It's such a delight. You will have a great time. It's the movies that I watch when I'm sad and they make me feel better. And yeah, that's my honorable mention.
Yay! So my honorable mention is this movie called Wave Film 2019. So this one I watched on the plane. That was a better picture. Not the best pictures.
That's so.
But I saw this movie on. Oh, it's Lucas Hedges. I think that's his name, right?
Oh yeah.
So basically, I saw this movie on the plane on the way back from Paris. Literally the most emotional movie I've ever seen. I literally sobbed at the end of it. So you basically have to go into this movie with a mindset of like, yes, you're gonna cry no matter what. Because like in this movie, everything that goes wrong. Like everything you think of like the worst things that could happen. Like in real life, not the world doesn't end, but like, you know. But basically, they have a lot of artists. Like they have Chance the Rapper. They have Frank Ocean on the album, and then also I guess combining with the cinematography, because the cinematographer worked a lot with Terrence Malick, so it has a lot of that Terrence Malick vibe, like Tree of Life vibe in some parts of it. That's the one thing I like now I see in a completely different light, because it really sucks that the movie didn't get more exposure, because A24 was really hard on like uncut gems and stuff. So Waves didn't get too much love, but it's a movie you should all see. Literally, like, it's a life-changing movie. I guess the best thing I can say, it's basically visual representation of listening to Frank Ocean if you really like Frank Ocean. So, and that's what I have to say about it. And the reason why I didn't talk about it was more because the other girls didn't watch the movie, so that's like basically all I have to say about it. But y'all should watch it.
I want to watch it.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it too. Okay, I guess since you talked about a sad one, I'll talk about a happier.
Oh,
well, okay. There's two that I could talk about. Should we do
both?
Do both? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do. Okay, so we'll start with the sad one, which is Blue Valentine. And I know we've talked about this movie on the show before, but I know that
fans know.
Yeah, let the fans know that this movie emotionally destroyed me. I'm sure just how Waves destroyed you and destroyed me.
I haven't seen it, so.
Yeah.
So.
But okay, so it's basically just about like this like couple that like it's divided into like two parallel storylines. One of them like falling in love, and then one of them like ultimately falling out of love. So immediately that story is just going to be heartbreaking. But there's this one scene when they're like falling in love, and it's very indie. It's very shot like with, you know, the camera is very like realistic and shaky and stuff. And Ryan Gosling is playing like the ukulele, and they're walking down the street on like one of their first dates, and he starts like singing a song, and then he's like, oh, dance to it, and then Michelle Williams starts like doing this dance, and the scene was improvised, and so he kind of sings with this weird voice. Obviously he still sounds good because he's Ryan Gosling, but like he sings in this kind of like goofy voice, and she didn't know he was going to sing it like that, so the reaction to it is real, and then her dance for it is improvised. So that just adds to like the realism of the scene. And it's this really beautiful ukulele song called You Always Hurt the One You Love.
I know, I cried.
Kind of foreshadowing like what's going to happen at the end. But it's just like, it's a great use of how like sound in like a movie kind of like is like a motif or like a theme of like love. And how I like, actually, because you talked about Donnie Darko in your final paper, I talked about Blue Valentine in my final paper, and how like the song, there's a lot of absence of sound like throughout the film, especially when they're falling in love, but then like this is like one of the main uses of music in it. So I think that's what makes it like even more powerful and moving. And you cry.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll say about that.
Moving on. Okay, what's the next one?
Oh, should I talk? Okay.
What's
really
the happy
quickly,
one?
Yeah, so now I'll talk about Happy. It's one of Wes Anderson's first films called Rushmore. And it's about a kid who goes to the prestigious like Rushmore Academy, and you know is involved in every club and wants to be like the perfect student, but then he gets kicked out, and then he develops like a crush on like his teacher, and it's just like very super like, you know, very Wes Anderson style, quirky, and it's a mix of like musical score with actual songs. So I think those work really well in the movie. And then like my favorite part is they sing the song at the end called or it's Ooh La La by the Faces, and that's the song that they use in like the final scene. And it's just like it's a great song with like a really like fun moment. It's a good way to like end the film. So two very different films, but just like how music works in both of them.
Yeah, I guess very two quick mentions that we talked about, like maybe we wanted to add a category with like really bad movies with good soundtracks, and those were 50 Shades of Grey and Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Very classic things. Look up the albums. You
check out the soundtracks, not the movies.
You can check out the movies as a joke, but like you're not gonna have a good time.
If you want to be entertained but not, you know, not have your life changed, then maybe check out those movies.
Yeah. Well, I'll stop sharing. So with that will conclude the second online episode. It's a little longer because we thought we should edit it more because we were really pressed on time the first time, and hopefully y'all will stay till the end. To the real ones who stay till the end, thank you. But yeah, with that, we're gonna conclude. So please like and subscribe. Become a BB boy and girl today. Comment.
You won't regret it.
Tell us if you like the format of us doing a slideshow, more interactive. Tell me if I touched my face or hair a lot during this one, because my parents
I know I did
a lot.
I know I did.
I know I did too.
Yeah, so
at least we all
tell
did.
us all the tea. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Anything to add?
Thank you. Everyone stay well.
Happy birthday.
Stay blessed.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Stay blessed, everyone.
Stay blessed, everyone.
Stay healthy. Stay home.
Yeah. Be smart.
Yeah, be smart.
Use your noggin.
Learn a TikTok dance.
Yeah. Watch one of the movies that we told you about.
Pass the time. Tell us
if you watch any of the movies, tell us what you think about them.
And if you watch all the movies, we'll give you a free prize.
Yeah, you get bonus points. Bonus points.
And the prize will be we like you. We're hard.
Extra like for you.
We're hard to please.
Yeah, we're tough critics.
Yeah, we are. But thank you so much. We'll see you in a week or two.
We'll see you when we see you.
Yeah,
Okay.
All good.
Well, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.